I never thought buying a house, my so-called dream home on the California coast, would drop me straight into the weirdest, most stressful war of my entire life, but here we are, and let me tell you, the punchline hits hard. You know what's hilarious? I moved to Seacliff Heights just to escape all the crazy HOA horror stories I grew up hearing, thinking I'd finally found a place where nobody cared how tall your grass was or what color you painted your door. But that first month, standing outside at sunrise in my pajamas, staring at my own house covered in toilet paper and some angry message spray painted across my mailbox, all I could do was wonder how people can turn something as simple as an ocean view into a battleground. Yeah, that happened. And looking back, I can laugh a little, but at the time, all I felt was a mix of disbelief and this heavy gut-level anger. Let me back up a sec, because this thing spun out so fast it still feels unreal. I'm Brian Miller, single, mid-30s, and for as long as I can remember, I dreamed about waking up to the sound of waves instead of traffic or some neighbor's leaf blower. So after years of saving, saying no to vacations, no to new cars, you get the idea, I finally had enough to chase it. I must have looked at 100 listings with my agent Lisa Carter. She was a saint, honestly patient as a rock. And when we walked into that house on Sunrise Bluff, I knew. You could smell the ocean the second you opened the door, see the sun bounce off the water, feel the wind whipping through the porch railings. It was magic, and best of all, Lisa swore, Brian, there's no HOA, you can paint your house pink if you want. We laughed about it, I signed the papers, and I figured my biggest drama would be picking out deck stain. Fast forward a month, the paint finally dried, my dog Max learned which bushes were his, and life was feeling pretty close to perfect until I get this thick, official-looking envelope in the mail. I almost tossed it, looked like one of those junk mail coupon packs, but the red stamp said, Official Notice. Inside, a letter from the Seacliff Heights Homeowners Association. Not a welcome, not a warning, a lawsuit, obstructing the ocean view of adjacent properties with your new house. I had to read it 3 times. I wasn't even a member. How does that work? Was this a prank? I called Lisa, rattled, and she was as stunned as I was. She double-checked all my paperwork, every deed and plat map, and sure enough, my property was outside the HOA. But the days dragged by and it got murkier. Turns out years ago, my lot used to be part of the HOA. Some old legal quirk had let it slip out. Richard Evans, the HOA president, and his little crew had spent months combing through bylaws trying to claw my lot back under their thumb. Suddenly, I felt like a mouse trapped with a cat that not only liked to play with its food but carried a law degree and a chip on its shoulder. That's when I brought in my lawyer, Janet Brooks. If there's a person you want in your corner, it's her sharp, fast, absolutely no patience for bullies. Together we sifted through records, meeting notes, old emails, anything that could prove I was being railroaded. And let me tell you, the real face of the HOA started showing. We found emails, the emails between Richard and his board, straight up admitting they'd tried to buy my lot before I'd even seen it. And when that failed, they called my place an eyesore, said I was an invader, and started strategizing how to get rid of the new guy. Some messages were basically threats, others were just petty, all of them proving this had nothing to do with views and everything to do with power. They even talked about getting code enforcement involved, making my life miserable any way they could. Our first day in court was a blur. I put on my best suit, hands sweating, heart pounding, and Janet, cool as ever, laid out everything, the paper trail, the emails, the maps. Richard and his guys sat there like they were waiting for tea time at the country club, and the judge just kept raising his eyebrows. When Janet read the board's private complaints out loud, you could practically see Richard trying not to lose it. In the end, the judge threw the whole lawsuit out, told the HOA they had no authority over my house, and to knock it off. I walked out of there feeling light for the first time in weeks, but the look Richard gave me on his way out, I knew this wasn't over. For a while, things went quiet. I fixed up the yard, planted a lemon tree, actually started sleeping through the night. But then little things started happening. First, I caught 2 HOA board members standing on my lawn snapping pictures. Confronted them, they were just admiring the ocean. They said, yeah, right. Next week, my sprinkler system gets trashed. Wires yanked, valves busted. Then one night, Max starts barking like crazy at the back fence. I look out, and there are flashlights moving behind the hedges, people ducking and running when I yell. Now I'm double-checking every lock, feeling like I'm living behind enemy lines. The last straw, waking up one morning to find my house and yard blanketed in toilet paper, not just a prank, but a full-on assault. Every tree, every bush, the whole porch, all of it covered, Plus, "Get out" spray painted in red across my mailbox. That's when I hit the wall. Humiliated, furious, completely fed up, so I called Janet again. This time, we went on the offensive, sent her photos, notes, everything weird that happened since day one. We filed a countersuit for harassment, trespassing, property damage. Janet subpoenaed HOA communications, demanded neighbor security footage, even tracked down hardware receipts. What we found made their first lawsuit look tame. Messages from Richard encouraging board members to keep the pressure up, people bragging about sending a message, group chats, literally plotting more ways to make my life hell. When we landed in court again, the vibe had changed. Richard looked worn out, smaller, his lawyer miserable, Janet, ice-cold judge, not having any of it. Janet rolled out the evidence one piece at a time, photos, texts, receipts, timelines. When she read aloud the bit where Richard suggested they get creative with the new guy's landscaping, the courtroom went dead silent. The judge was stone-faced, then finally said enough's enough. The HOA had zero authority, the harassment and vandalism had to stop, and the board, Richard included, was on the hook for every penny of damages. Plus, Richard had to resign as president right there on the spot. You'd think I'd have jumped for joy, but honestly I just felt relief, like after months underwater I could finally breathe. Walking out of that courtroom, the sun setting over the cliffs, I caught Richard's eye for a second. He looked away first. His buddies scattered, muttering, not meeting my gaze, and that quiet, no more threats, no more games felt better than any celebration. That was the real win right there. I still live in that house. Every morning, coffee on the porch, Max at my feet, I watch the waves and think about what it took to keep this place mine. Word got around, new folks started moving in. Some would ask me how I took down the infamous HOA. People stopped letting themselves get pushed around so easily. Even the loudest complainers in the neighborhood started minding their own business. Property values shot up not because of the view, but because people saw you could stand your ground. Do I regret any of it? Not a bit. I didn't just keep my house, I got my peace back, my dignity, and maybe made it a little tougher for the next bully with a grudge and a board title to push someone around. Things changed around here after that. The old guard faded, the town breathed easier, and the only thing left was a little more respect all around. Justice doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just outlasting the bullies, letting them slink away knowing deep down they lost. And honestly, that's all the victory I ever needed. So what do you think? Was I right to fight back? Have you ever had to take on an HOA or a bully like this? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear how you'd handle a neighbor war like mine. Justice rules or a little of both? Let's get into it.